Hey everyone, and welcome to our first video lecture. I'll be using video lectures many weeks to help introduce you to some of the major ideas we'll be covering in our readings and activities. All videos should be fully captioned, and I'll also make sure to include the transcript as well. So if you ever find either of these things missing, please do let me know right away. And I also just want to make sure these videos are easily accessible for everyone, and for that same purpose, I'll try to keep them no longer than 10-ish minutes. So one of the major goals in English 1A is the development of analytic reading skills. So in this week's reading out of our Let's Get Writing textbook, you'll find a lot of information about what it means to read analytically. In this video, though, I want to highlight just a few of the biggest and most important ideas, and maybe add a few of my own. So, the question we're asking this week is, what does it mean to read analytically? And in this video, I want to give 3 answers. Some of these answers will also be covered in the reading this week, and the reading will cover some very important things I do not mention in this video, so it's very important to pay attention to both. But there are the 3 things I'll cover in this lecture. So first of all, one of the first things I think is important when reading analytically is reading with an awareness of what we call the rhetorical moment. Another way to think about the rhetorical moment is to think about the when, where, why, and who that determine how and why something gets written. In rhetoric, we often think of any moment of communication as a triangle with 3 corners, like this. There's the author who is sending the message. There is the audience that receives the message. Then there's the actual material covered in the message. Each of these points affects the others. For example, think about how the same person with the same message might deliver that message differently depending on the audience. If I'm a doctor trying to explain a diagnosis, I'm going to explain it differently depending on whether I'm explaining it to a colleague with medical training, to the patient, or to the patient's 5-year-old kid. If I'm a science teacher trying to explain photosynthesis, I'm going to explain it differently to a class of 2nd graders than I am to a class of college students. 2nd graders just need to know that plants use the sun to create food. But when I'm working with college students, I'm going to expect them to learn exactly how plants convert sunlight into energy. Similarly, the same information being given to the same audience is going to be affected depending on who is delivering that information. Have you ever taken 2 similar classes from 2 different professors? The same basic material might be different depending on the person delivering it. And in the same way that you communicate with a person can be altered based on the material that you are communicating. So all 3 parts of this triangle are affected by the others. So just to summarize, the rhetorical triangle, every time we read, we're reading more than just words on a page. We're reading for an awareness of how the words on that page are determined by the perspective of the person who is sharing them, the audience to whom they are intended, and the message being communicated. But understanding the rhetorical triangle is just the beginning. It's also important to be able to continue to read beyond the page by understanding why and when something was written. So to our diagram, I'm adding here 2 more things that influence how we should read a text: purpose and context. So every time we communicate with someone, we do so for a purpose. It might be because we need or want something. The United States wants to be recognized as its own country. It writes the Declaration of Independence. A senator up for re-election wants people to vote for her and not her opponent. She might record a negative television ad about her opponent. You want your friends to join you for dinner? You write a text message. So every time you read something, I want you to think about why it was written. How does the writer want you to think, act, or feel differently after reading what is written? I also want you to think about context. How does when a text is written influence the writer's choice? I think the internet provides lots of great examples of material that is created while being very mindful of certain contexts. Memes respond to current events and trends, and even other currently popular memes. Parody articles, like those written in The Onion, respond directly to things that have happened within days or even a few hours. For much of this material, someone who doesn't know the context is not going to be able to get the joke. Much of the material we read in academic contexts is at least a little similar. Without understanding what was going on in the world around a text when it was written, we won't fully understand the text. Then lastly, in this video alone, I've given you 5 things to look for at your read: author, message, audience, purpose, context. In this week's textbook reading, you'll get even more things to look for, and we'll keep building our list throughout the semester. It can be hard to keep all this information in your head at once as you read, and writing things down as you notice them can help. Research has also shown that you process information better when you not only read it, but also write it down. That's why I recommend reading with a pencil, real or virtual, in hand. If you have a printer, it can be very helpful to print out material, but even if you don't, most software will let you take notes on a PDF document, or you can take notes on the side. To take good notes, there are a few things I recommend not doing. So do not overutilize underlining. Underlining can be very helpful in some cases, but it's also the least helpful way to take notes if all the underlining means is this was something that I thought was important. Writing a few words in the margins can be more helpful, but I would also recommend against writing too much per page. My favorite way to take notes is to try to write one very short word or phrase next to most paragraphs. It could be something like purpose, emotional appeal, important context. By writing these short notes, I can quickly find things I thought were important, but my notes also remind me why I thought that part of the text was important. I know this video covered a lot of ground, but you'll get a chance to review it throughout the textbook reading and activities throughout the week. As always, please reach out if you have questions, and have a good week.